to generate living entities within the universe. This Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is glorified in the Vedas in the hymns of Garva Stuti, which begin with a description of the Lord as having thousands of heads, etc. The Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is the Lord of the universe, and although he appears to be lying within the universe, he is always transcendental. This also has already been explained. The Vishnu, who is the plenary portion of the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, is the supersoul of the universal life, and he is known as the maintainer of the universe, or Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. So the three features of the original Purusha are thus understood. And all the incarnations within the universe are emanations from the Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. In different millennia, there are different incarnations, and they are innumerable. Although some of them are very prominent, such as Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, and many others, these incarnations are called Lila incarnations. Then there are qualitative incarnations, such as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or Rudra, who take charge of the different modes of incarnation. Lord Vishnu is not different from the personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is in the marginal position between the personality of Godhead and the living entities, or Jivas. Brahma is always a Jiva Tattva. The highest pious living being, or the greatest devotee of the Lord, is empowered with the potency of the Lord for creation, and he is called Brahma. His power is like the power of the sun, reflected in valuable stones and jewels. When there is no such living being to take charge of the post of Brahma, the Lord himself becomes a Brahma and takes charge of the post. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living being. He is the plenary portion of the Lord. But because Lord Shiva is in direct touch with material nature, he is not exactly in the same transcendental position as Lord Vishnu. The difference is like that between milk and curd. Curd is nothing but milk, and yet it cannot be used in place of milk. The next incarnations are the Manus. Within 1 day's duration of the life of Brahma, which is calculated by our solar years, 4,300,000 times 1,000 years, there are 14 Manus. Therefore, there are 420 Manus in 1 month of Brahma, and 5,040 Manus in 1 year of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 years of this age, and therefore there are 5,040 times 100, or 504,000 Manus in the duration of Brahma's life. There are innumerable universes, with one Brahma in each of them, and all of them are created and annihilated during the breathing time of the Purusha. Therefore, one can simply imagine how many millions of Manus there are during one breath of the Purusha. The Manus who are prominent within this universe are as follows: Yagya as Swayambhuva Manu, Vibhu as Swarojisha Manu, Satyasena as Uttama Manu, Hari as Tamasa Manu, Vaikuntha as Raivata Manu, Ajita as Chakshusha Manu, Vamana as Vaivasvata Manu. The present age is under the Vaivasvata Manu. Sarvabhauma as Savarni Manu, Rishabha as Dakshashavarni Manu, Vishvakshena as Brahma Savarni Manu, Dharma Setu as Dharma Savarni Manu, Sudama as Rudra Savarni Manu, Yogeshwara as Deva Savarni Manu, and Brihadbhanu as Indra Savarni Manu. These are the names of one set of 14 Manus covering 4,300,000,000 solar years as described above. Then there are the Yuga avatars, or the incarnations of the millennia. The Yugas are known as Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. The incarnations of each Yuga are of different color. The colors are white, red, black, and yellow. In the Dvapara Yuga, Lord Krishna in black color appeared, and in the Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya in yellow color appeared. So all the incarnations of the Lord are mentioned in the revealed scriptures. There is no scope for an impostor to become an incarnation, for an incarnation must be mentioned in the Shastras. The incarnation does not declare himself to be an incarnation of the Lord, but great sages agree by the symptoms mentioned in the revealed scriptures. The features of the incarnation and the particular type of mission which he has to execute are mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Apart from the direct incarnations, They are innumerable empowered incarnations. They are also mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Such incarnations are directly as well as indirectly empowered. When they are directly empowered, they are called incarnations, but when they are indirectly empowered, they are called vibhutis. Directly empowered incarnations are the Kumaras, Narada, Prithu, Shesha, Ananta, etc. As far as vibhutis are concerned, they are very explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita in the Vibhuti Yoga chapter. And for all these different types of incarnations, the fountainhead is the Kavadaka Shrine. So I will hand it over to John. I have some service to do. John will lead the next 25 minutes.
Just English?
Yeah. You'll see what verse is highlighted. Any reflections, if anyone wants to?
Which is the Vibhuti Yoga chapter in the Gita?
I think it's 50.
You're about the supreme person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the chapter called. I think so. I was thinking it's worth it. Yeah. We will call them Vibhuti chapters.
So, verse number 6. Translation. First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth. Forward. The creation of the material world is affected, maintained, and then again annihilated at certain intervals. So there are different names of the creation of the particular types of Brahma. The Kumaras, as above mentioned, appeared in the Kumara creation of the material world. And to teach us the process of Brahman realization, they underwent a severe type of disciplinary action as bachelors. These Kumaras are empowered incarnations, and before executing the severe type of disciplinary actions, all of them became qualified Brahmins. This example suggests that one must follow the qualifications of a Brahmin not simply by birth but also by quality, and then one can undergo the process of Brahman realization. 7. The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation. For the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth to the nether of the universe. Earth out of Pluto's region of filthy air, picking up something from a filthy personality of Godhead. And although he played part of a boar, by devotees he is staying always in transcendence. Number 8. In the millennium of the readings of the Vedas, which deal with devotional service and which are non-fruitive action, propagates the all over the universe. Great devotee all over the universe is his disciples. Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is also one of his disciples. Narad is the author of Narad Pancharatra, which is the exposition of the Vedas, particularly for the devotional service of the Lord. This Narad Pancharatra trains the karmis, or the fruitive workers, to achieve liberation from the bondage of fruitive work. The conditioned souls are mostly attracted by fruitive work because they want to enjoy life by the sweat of their own brows. The whole universe is full of fruits in all species of life. The fruitive workers include all kinds of economic development plans. But the law of nature provides that every action has its resultant reaction, and the performer of the work is bound up by such reactions, good or bad. The reaction of good work is comparative material prosperity, whereas the reaction of bad work is comparative distress. But material conditions, either in so-called happiness or in so-called distress, are all meant ultimately for distress only. Foolish materialists have no information of how to obtain eternal happiness in the unconditioned state. Sri Narad informs these foolish fruitive workers how to realize the reality of happiness. He gives direction to the diseased men of the world how one's present engagement can lead one to the path of spiritual emancipation. The physician directs the patient to take treated milk in the form of curd for his sufferings from indigestion due to his taking another milk preparation. So the cause of the disease and the remedy of the disease may be the same, but it must be treated by an expert physician like Narad. The Bhagavad Gita also gives the same solution of serving the Lord by the fruits of one's labour. That will lead one to the path of Naishkarmya, or liberation. Text number 9. In the fourth incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayan, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses. Purport. As King Rishad advised his sons, tapasya, or voluntary acceptance of penance for realization of the transcendence, is the only duty of the human being. It was so done by the Lord himself in an exemplary manner to teach us. The Lord is very kind to the forgetful souls. He therefore comes himself and leaves behind necessary instructions, and also sends his good sons as representatives to call all the conditioned souls back to Godhead. Recently, within the memory of everyone, the Lord Chaitanya also appeared for the same purpose, to show special favour to fallen souls of this age of iron industry. The incarnation of Narayan is worshipped still as Badari Narayan on the range of the Himalayas. Number 10. Translation. The fifth incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahman, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost. Purport. The sum total of the creative elements is 24 in all. Each and every one of them is explicitly explained in the system of Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy is generally called metaphysics by the European scholars. The etymological meaning of Sankhya is that which explains very lucidly by analysis of the material elements. This was done for the first time by Lord Kapila, who is said herein to be the fifth in the line of incarnations. Number 11. Translation. The sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasurya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad, and others, Yadu, Haya, etc. Purport. The Lord incarnated himself as Dattatreya, the son of Rishi, Atri, and Anasurya. The history of the birth of Dattatreya as an incarnation of the Lord is mentioned in the Brahmananda Purana in connection with the story of the devoted wife. It is said there that Anasurya, the wife of Rishi Atri, prayed before the Lords Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva as follows: My Lords, if you are pleased with me, and if you desire me to ask from you some sort of blessings, then I pray that you combine together to become my son. This was accepted by the Lords, and as Dattatreya, the Lord expounded the philosophy of the spirit soul, and especially instructed Alarka, Prahlad, Yadu, Ayaya, etc. Text 12. The seventh incarnation was Yogya, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change from the Swayambhuva Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. Purport. The administrative posts occupied by the demigods for maintaining the regulations of the material world are offered to the highly elevated pious living beings. When there is a scarcity of such pious living beings, the Lord incarnates himself as Brahma, Prajapati, Indra, etc. and takes up the charge. During the period of Swayambhuva Manu, the present period is of Vaivasvata Manu, there was no suitable living being who could occupy the post of Indra, the king of Indraloka, or the heavenly planet. The Lord himself at the time became Indra. Assisted by his own sons like Yama and other demigods, Lord Yogya ruled the administration of the universal affairs. Text 13. The eighth incarnation was King Risha, son of King Nabi, and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honoured by all orders of life. Purport. The society of human being is naturally divided into 8 by orders and statuses of life. The 4 divisions of occupation and the 4 divisions of cultural advancement. The intelligent class, the administrative class, the productive class, and the labourer class are the 4 divisions of occupation. And the student life, the householder's life, retired life, and renounced life are the 4 statuses of cultural advancement towards the path of spiritual realization. Out of these, the renounced order of life, or the order of sannyas, is considered the highest of all, and the sannyasi is constitutionally the spiritual master for all the orders and divisions. In the sannyas order also there are 4 stages of upliftment toward perfection. These stages are called Kuti Chaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajacharya, and Paramahamsa. The Paramahamsa stage of life is the highest stage of perfection. This order of life is respected by all others. Maharaj Rishabh, the son of King Nabi and Meru Devi, was an incarnation of the Lord, and he instructed his sons to follow the path of perfection by tapasya, which sanctifies one's existence and enables one to attain the stage of spiritual happiness, which is eternal and ever increasing. Every living being is searching after happiness, but no one knows where eternal and unlimited happiness is obtainable. Foolish men seek after material sense pleasure as a substitute for real happiness. But such foolish men forget that temporary so-called happiness derived from sense pleasures is also enjoyed by the dogs and the hogs. No animal, bird or beast is bereft of this sense pleasure. In every species of life, including the human form of life, such happiness is immensely obtainable. The human form of life, however, is not meant for such cheap happiness. The human life is meant for attaining eternal and unlimited happiness by spiritual realization. This spiritual realization is obtained by tapasya, or undergoing voluntarily the path of penance and abstinence from material pleasure. Those who have been trained for abstinence in material pleasures are called dhira, or men undisturbed by the senses. Only these dhiras can accept the orders of sannyas, and they can gradually rise to the status of the Paramahamsa, which is adored by all members of society. King Rishabh propagated this mission, and at the last stage he became completely aloof from the material bodily needs, which is a rare stage not to be imitated by foolish men, but to be worshipped by all. Brahmins. In the 9th incarnation, the Lord, prayed for by sages, accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various produces, and for that reason the earth was beautiful and attractive. Purport. Before the advent of King Prithu, there was great havoc and maladministration due to the vicious life of the previous king, the father of Maharaj Prithu. The intelligent class of men, namely the sages and the Brahmins, not only prayed for the Lord to come down, but also dethrone the previous king. It is the duty of the king to be pious and thus look after the all-around welfare of his citizens. Whenever there is some negligence on the part of the king in discharging his duty, the intelligent class of men must dethrone him. The intelligent class of men, however, do not occupy the royal throne, because they have much more important duties for the welfare of the public. Instead of occupying the royal throne, they pray for the incarnation of the Lord, and the Lord came as Maharaj Prithu. Real intelligent men or qualified Brahmins never aspire for political posts. Maharaj Prithu excavated many produces from the earth, and thus not only did the citizens become happy to have such a good king, but the complete sight of the earth also became beautiful and attractive. Text 15. When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshushamanu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected by Vasvatamanu, keeping him up on a boat. According to Sripad Sridhar Swami, the original comment of mothers to check in of each and every manu. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has also supported Srila Jukaswami, and he has also quoted from the Bhagavatam about this inundation after each manu. Apart from this, the Lord, in order to show special favor to Satyavrata, a devotee of the Lord, in this particular period incarnated himself. Text number 16. The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise, whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandarachala hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theists and the atheists of the universe. Once both the atheists and the theists were engaged in producing nectar from the sea, so that all of them could become deathless by drinking it. At that time, the Mandarachala hill was used as the churning rod, and the shell of Lord Tortoise, the incarnation of Godhead, became the resting place, the pivot, of the hill in the seawater. Text number 70. In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Dhanvantari, and in the 13th, he allured the atheists by the charming beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink. Text 18. In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Nrsimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane. Number 19. In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of the dwarf Brahman, Vamana, and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land. The Almighty God can bestow upon anyone the kingdom of the universe from a very small beginning, and similarly, he can take away the kingdom of the universe on the plea of begging a small piece of land. Text 20. In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord, as Brigupati, annihilated the administrative class, Kshatriyas, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmins, the intelligent class. Purport. The Kshatriyas, or the administrative class of men, are expected to rule the planet by the direction of the intelligent class of men, who give direction to the rulers in terms of the standard Shastras, or the books of revealed knowledge. The rulers carry on the administration according to that direction. Whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Kshatriyas, or the administrative class, against the orders of the learned and intelligent Brahmins, the administrators are removed by force from the posts, and arrangement is made for better administration. Text 21. Translation. Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parashara Muni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that the people in general were less intelligent. Purport. Originally, the Veda is one, but Srila Vyasadeva divided the original Veda into four, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, Artava. And then again they were explained in different branches like the Puranas and the Mahabharata. The Vedic language and the subject matter are very difficult for ordinary men. They are understood by the highly intelligent and self-realized Brahmins, but the present age of Kali is full of ignorant men. Even those who are born by a Brahmin father are, in the present age, no better than the Shudras or the women. The twice-born men, namely the Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, are expected to undergo a cultural purificatory process known as samskaras. But because of the bad influence of the present age, the so-called members of the Brahmin and other higher order families are no longer highly cultured. They are called the Dvija Bandhus, or the friends and family members of the twice-born. But these Dvija Bandhus are classified amongst the Shudras and the women. Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas into various branches and sub-branches for the sake of the less intelligent classes, like the Dvija Bandhus, Shudras and women. Text 22. Translation. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers for controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravan, who was on the other side of the sea. Purport. The personality of Godhead Sri Ram assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods, or the administrative personalities, to maintain the order of the universe. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravan and Hiranyakashipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization with the help of material science and other activities, with a spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord. But, puffed up by tiny success in material advancement, sometimes the godless materialists challenge the existence of God. Ravan was one of them, and he wanted to deport ordinary men to the planet of Indra, heaven, by material means without consideration of the necessary qualifications. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planet, so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet. He also wanted to perform other acts against the established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Ram, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife Sita. Of course, Lord Ram came to chastise this atheist answering the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravan, and the complete activity is the subject matter of the Ramayana. Because Lord Ramachandra was the personality of God, he exhibited superhuman activities which no human being, including the materially advanced Ravan, could perform. Lord Ramachandra prepared a royal road to the Indian Ocean with stones that floated on the water. The modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but it is not possible to bring the weightlessness anywhere and everywhere. But because weightlessness is the creation of the Lord, by which he can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air, he made the stones even within this earth to be weightless and prepared a stone bridge on the water without any supporting pillar. This is the display of the power of God. Now, that's our finishing up here today on. What was it? Text 22. So,
Tomorrow 23.
tomorrow's 23, yes. 6:30 again, I think, yeah. 6:30, okay. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna.